This is Pamela Kuhn, and a curtain is up on center stage. The show about artists and artists behind their work. No, actually, it's me, Matt Mickelson, Pamela's co-host at times, and I thought I could pull that through the whole show, but I just can't do it. And we're here with our guest today. We're going to be talking about movies we grew up on and how they probably could not be made today with our guest, Sally Walker, editor-at-large, writer of underground pop culture movies, music when subversive was still unknown to many, and alternative meant you could not find it at the mall. With us, as always, is our fearless producer, Bob Small, with his finger on the button, the red, shiny, candy-like button that keeps us from polluting the morning airwaves with vulgar expletives. How you doing, guys?
Hi.
Great, thanks.
Hi, Matt.
I wrote that all by myself.
It reminds me of the way Pam opens, so very good.
Just trying to stick with the format here.
Yeah.
But Sally and I grew up together in a small town in upstate New York.
I met Matt in second grade.
Yes. And I just zipped into town when my father moved us away from the city out into the burbs.
What city?
Rochester, New York.
I've been there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They have June, July, and winter. So we have kept in touch, and we get together once in a while and talk about this kind of stuff. So I thought you'd be a perfect guest to help keep our people stuck in traffic entertained. Also, I thought it would be interesting to talk about movies that we grew up on and how they influenced the rest of our lives, but also, could those movies be made today?
Well, no. They probably couldn't.
Well, like any John Hughes film, probably.
No. I mean, all the movies that were made back then were of their era, so nobody would really care. I mean, it's like, would you sit your daughters down to watch? I mean, they'd watch a John Hughes movie and they'd probably get bored and walk away, right?
Or I'd have to walk away because I feel uncomfortable because they're getting into like promiscuity or something like that they thought was okay for us when we were 13.
I don't know. I think teenagers are so savvy now. I don't think we give them enough credit. I mean, I hang out with my friends' little kids once in a while. I mean, and like 7, 8-year-olds, and they're pretty smart, and they're onto it, and they listen. They listen to a scary extent. So I guess I would think that your daughters are probably a little more advanced than you.
Yeah, my
want to know
daughters
about.
are pretty bright, but at the same time, it makes me uncomfortable when adult situations pop up, and especially Netflix does this to us. You watch 4 episodes of something, and it's just hunky-dory fine. You're like, oh, this is good for the kids. And then you bring them in, and all of a sudden the next episode starts with a bunch of naked,
Yeah.
And, I'm turning 10 different shades of red while trying to get through with that.
Oh, Dad.
But also, back then you also had movies that were coming out like Jaws, that probably could not be made anymore to the same extent because, movies are kind of made by committee now. You don't give the director his vision and the money and say, go out and go do your thing.
Right.
You have the marketing department, attached to the guy's belt or whoever's directing the movie. And this didn't work in the certain focus group of these people, so you're going to have to reshoot your movie, Which
is why I find that so many, I'm not interested in a lot of the movies out there now.
Yeah,
which is hard because I like movies, but I sit down to watch them and I get so bored with the CGI and the superheroes and all that. And also now living outside of the city, it used to be so easy to go and see interesting, smaller foreign movies, and out here you've got 1 or 2 theaters playing 1 or 2 movies, and they're the more mainstream ones, and I don't know. So I tend to stream everything now.
Well, what was some of the weird stuff back in the 80s and 90s that influenced you that you can't really find today?
Well, it would be more like the 70s and 80s. And I don't know how weird it was, but I made a list, Matt.
Really?
So, yes. So let me run through the movies that I liked back then. But, back then there were so many fewer movies, too.
Yeah.
So
there were like 10 actors in 5 movies a year or something.
And one of the I was noticing that some of the movies, 3 of the movies that I liked growing up all had Chris Makepeace in them. Do you remember Chris Makepeace?
No.
Oh, he was really cute. He was kind of cute and like he always looked hungover and kind of greasy and pale, but I don't know, there was something about him. He was in My Bodyguard. He was the lead in My Bodyguard. He was Rudy in Meatballs. Remember Meatballs? Remember
man,
the guy
I cannot
that
picture his
Bill
face.
Murray?
Yeah, Meatballs with
We're
Bill Murray.
friends, and he teaches him. He goes running with him every morning. He was kind of a squirrely little kid. Anyways,
Was it the guy from
do you
Bad News
remember
Bears?
him?
Yes, I can picture him now.
Chris
Yes.
Makepeace. He had dark curly hair. He was kind of pasty. He was little. He was
Yeah.
thin, and I liked him.
So what's he doing now? Producing?
No,
Directing?
I think
No.
I think maybe actually I should have looked it up. I think the last time I cyberstalked Chris Makepeace, he was living in Maine, running a store. I don't know, something like that. Sounds kind of nice. And he was in Vamp. Do you remember the movie Vamp? Okay, so Matt and I saw a lot of different movies.
Yeah, we did.
But I grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
And which was sort of like sensory deprivation in some ways in terms of culture. But I had an older brother, and my older brother was super cool. And he would come home with music and movies, and he would tape movies off the TV late at night.
I remember him being very punk rock.
Yes,
I still have all those tapes myself.
Yes,
The VHS
me
tapes?
too.
Yeah, I keep thinking I'm going to convert
I don't
them.
have a player anymore, nor do I have a tape deck, but I have all the tapes and all the video cassettes.
I have several, but they're in the box
Yeah.
that it came in.
Oh. Yes.
I just
they're
don't-
doing you lots of good, aren't they?
Oh, I don't really have time to sit around and watch all my old VHS
Okay,
tapes.
so Matt, if you have no idea who Chris Makepeace is,
Yeah, what am I going to do?
one of my early crushes, what were you watching?
Well, I mean, I was still, coming off of my depression from 1983 and there being no more Star Wars. But I was always looking forward to anything that Harrison Ford was in.
Of course.
And
as you still are.
as I still am, I don't remember really going out to see movies besides the big stuff, and if I did, I remember seeing like Ghost at the movie theater.
No.
And I don't know who dragged me to that.
All right.
I know I didn't, because I always went to the big stuff with my dad. When Star Wars or Indiana Jones came out, my dad would, take me and we'd, go out and watch those movies.
Okay, I just have to say something about parents being inappropriate because my parents took us to see Jaws at the drive-in.
Oh, God.
It was a double feature with Buck Rogers in the 21st century, and I remember sitting in the back of their 1970 Mercedes sedan and watching Jaws and thinking it was the coolest thing ever. I mean, I was like 6, but they took us little kids to see this.
I don't
people
remember
get
seeing
torn
Jaws
apart.
at the theater. I think I saw it on TV
At a
like
drive-in,
4
no
years
less.
after it came out.
And then after that, my parents would drop us off at the mall.
As parents did back then.
Yes, but they would
See
drop
you in
us
8
off
hours.
at the movie theater. And they took us. I remember they just left us. They were just like, "Here, you're going to see a movie," and they you open the door and get out, and they drive away, and they have a few hours of freedom. They took us to see 2001, and I think I was probably 8. Koyaanisqatsi, remember Koyaanisqatsi?
Not
It
off
was
the top
it was
of
a
my head.
Japanese. It was called. It was translated to Life in Motion, and it was just fast forwarded footage of things moving,
Okay.
trains and people, and had like a.
That was the competition back then?
It was cool, but I mean, it like I think it won an Academy Award. Like it was
Really?
huge, but it was for a little kid to sit there and see that. I mean,
And 2001 Space
That's like a-
Odyssey was a slow mover.
I mean, these are gateway movies,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they're like, and then they also took us. They dropped us off at the discounted movie theater in Rochester to see The Road Warrior.
Oh, God.
That's
fun, kids.
And that's a great movie. But that was we were kind of, that was early 80s. We were like 10.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that is what shaped me. But it was so inappropriate.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, like
But
the
it's
Freddy
kind of
Krueger
awesome
stuff
now.
and-
Now that I look back on it, like, yeah, my parents, I didn't think they were cool, but they took us to see 2001 and The Road Warrior. Oh, and family movie night was, I remember this. Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
Interesting.
It's so dirty. It's so dirty and gnarly and so funny. It's the one with Mr. Creasel, the large man who sits in the restaurant and the wafer thin mint.
Just one more mint, sir.
Yes.
Oh,
he rumbles.
That one.
Yes.
I didn't.
That's The Meaning of Life.
I saw that recently in a best of when they were talking about the passing of. What's his name that just passed away?
Right.
One of them.
Yeah,
What's his face?
and I didn't realize that was in a movie that I'd missed.
Yes.
It was quite a scene.
I thought that was just a skit.
Yeah.
Well, it's vignette. It's like four set. It's like birth, childhood, death, afterlife. What I don't
Their
know.
stuff
With
was
the
always
different
so
families.
morose.
Yes, and so gross. And this was our family outing. I think we saw it at the Pittsburgh movie theater.
Oh yeah.
And I remember being like leaning over, saying, "What's that? What's that mean?" And of course, they didn't say anything. Nobody answered.
Yeah, and it's all in British too, so it's really
it's
hard to understand.
really, really hard to understand.
I can't pick up on the British accent until I'm like 8 episodes deep in a Downton Abbey.
Okay, so what? Like when you were little and you were brought, was it really just Star Wars? I mean, did I have a unique experience when it comes to movies?
I don't know. I think you had more of an open-minded horror movie / experience. Like I didn't like the Freddy Kruegers and the Friday the 13th and all that
But
stuff.
you like Jaws.
I didn't like Jaws because it scared the bejesus out of me. And
Did you have the Jaws game?
I had nightmares for years because when
I
Richard
still
Dreyfuss
do.
goes to look in that sunken boat and he's scratching at the wood and the head pops out,
Yep.
lost my mind.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
I wasn't expecting it. And as a 6-7-year-old watching this on television, that did
Traumatizing.
not sit well with me. Also, like stuff like Salem's Lot and
Oh,
anything.
the one made for TV.
Yes.
Still so scary.
Our neighbors, like
So
15
scary.
kids, all sat around the TV and watched that as a group eating popcorn.
And then there's like a commercial break.
Yeah.
And
and
of it.
plus David Soul was in it, from my favorite show, Starsky and
Yes.
Hutch.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was 4, I had my Starsky and Hutch
David
T-shirt.
Soul.
And
He's still alive,
who's the
right?
hairy guy? His partner, the guy in the sweater.
Oh,
Starsky.
That was just his chest hair.
Yeah, pretty
Okay.
much.
Uh-huh.
Woven into
I don't-
he had to weave that every
Yeah,
morning.
I don't remember his name, but he was in a movie playing somebody's husband.
He had a little
once.
bit of a resurgence in the late 90s or something
Okay,
like
that's
that, I
what
think.
I'm thinking about.
Also, there were a lot of weird movies back then, like Corvette Summer or Kiss, the Kiss movie.
Yeah.
The
Classics.
Phantom at the Park. It was basically a Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah.
But with Kiss.
I only saw that once, and I remember at the time thinking it was so dumb.
'Cause it was.
Even as an 8-year-old, that I could discern. Hey, man, I was going to see 2001 at the Eastview Mall movie
That's
theater.
pretty hip, yeah.
Triplex. Yes, the Corvette Summer, 1978. I wrote
With
these
Mark
down.
Hamill. And I was excited to see that because
Yeah.
it was like, ooh, Luke Skywalker's in a movie. And nothing
yeah.
like Star Wars at all.
Okay, so then I also have to add to that the car, 1977.
I don't remember that
with
one.
James Brolin.
Yeah.
Really bad. It was basically about this Aries K car from hell. This big, boxy.
Weren't all K cars from hell?
Yes, they were. This was like a big, boxy black car with tinted windows and had a really loud horn. And it chased people around the desert and it ran them over. And it was driven by the devil.
Like Duel or...
Kinda. Yes, it was like...
But
it was,
Duel was very good.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was
Yeah.
Spielberg's
That was the
first
exception.
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
And it was
amazing for first.
That was a made-for-TV movie too, except it was like a Mack truck or something.
Yeah.
So this was the Mack truck and Duel condensed to an Aries K car, driving it around the desert and running people over, driving through houses.
Yeah,
but
why
it
didn't
couldn't
just
go
someone cut the tires, man?
because you couldn't get close to it
Oh,
because
okay,
it was
okay.
the devil driving it.
Gotcha.
And then there was Roller Coaster.
What is
which-
it? I assume it's about a roller coaster.
So all you have to do is look on YouTube, and you can watch clips from Roller Coaster, and that's really all you need to see. It was a vehicle for Timothy Bottoms. Remember Timothy Bottoms from
I think I see his
Last
hair
Picture Show?
in my hair, in my brain.
On your bottom. And it's about Timothy Bottoms plays a serial killer who goes around the country setting off bombs on roller coasters. And, it would just be like small explosive. He'd plant them on the roller coaster
Yeah.
and he'd he'd set them off, and it would blow out little
So
parts
at the
of the
time,
track.
there were like 7 roller coasters.
Probably, yes. I know. So the investigators,
Short movie,
it was an hour for TV with
Should we
commercial
put
breaks.
police around the other 6 roller
Well,
coasters? maybe?
yes. But one of the great things about that is when they'd show the roller coaster cars crashing into the pavement. It was they were full of mannequins. They were these stiff plastic so-called people, and they would fly off the tracks and hit the ground, and they're all plastic. Head falls off or whatever. It was so bad.
But the stuff that really
good.
scared me was like the Exorcist and all the metaphysical stuff that was all based in what do you want to call it, like paranormal,
satanic,
not necessarily a bad guy doing a bad thing, but God or devil is going to get you,
like at the Amityville Horror.
Yeah,
but I mean,
exactly,
all that stuff gets remade now.
Yeah, but
remade badly too,
real badly.
God, why even bother? Just watch the original.
Well, that does address your initial premise here for the show. That is a type of movie that could get remade.
Yeah,
and there it is. It's getting remade.
It is getting remade, and they add all these little modern flourishes like scantily clad starlets and soundtracks and sound stings and all of this cheesy stuff that just watch the original. The originals are so much. I mean, they were great then. They're still great.
Mm-hmm. So my assistant has been texting me. My assistant.
Yes.
You have an assistant?
And she tells us, first of all, that Makepeace is no longer acting.
Right.
And the hairy guy in Starsky and Hutch is Paul Michael Glazer. Or Glazer?
Ah, yes,
Glazer.
that's it.
Yeah. And he's a director-producer now.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Wasn't he
what is
directing
Chris
episodes of
Makepeace
Friends or
doing?
something?
I don't know. Maybe she'll hear you say that. And
I know. Is he still cute?
He's got to
really
be 70
cute.
something. By
No,
now.
he's not.
No?
He's maybe in his 50s.
60.
60. He was, okay, so My Bodyguard was 1980, and he was maybe 15 or 16. Do the math. Matt.
Yeah.
God.
But a lot of stuff that couldn't get made that was, I mean, in the PC department, like Soul Man. Where
Soul
the
Man.
kid goes to all black college.
Yes,
and
I remember.
blackface
Yes.
And, I mean,
Yes.
I can't even believe they got away with that then.
Yes.
See, even
know.
I knew then. Stay away from that movie.
Yeah, but a lot of off-color jokes and stuff like that, like in 16 Candles, like the whole gag with the underwear, or just all kinds of stuff that I can't really say in the air right now.
That's how things were.
Yeah. But I mean, we just accepted it. It didn't really faze us for some reason.
We weren't woke at all.
I don't know. I guess I mean, because. If you bullies and when you make fun of your friends or your friends make fun of you,
it builds character, Matt.
Yes,
don't
does,
you
it does
know?
build lots of character.
That's why we have so much character.
But I mean, it was. I'm wondering why or how it didn't enter our minds to say that's offensive and that hurts my feelings. You shouldn't do that. Well,
that's very different now than it was then.
You
just didn't think that way then.
No,
Yeah.
if you had a problem, if you had a bully, did you even tell your parents?
No,
nobody knew.
You
go
sucked it
home,
up and dealt with it.
You go home and crawl under your bed, cry, and play with your cat or whatever. I'm not speaking from personal experience or anything, but I mean, you kept it to yourself, and that's why we're so tough.
And if you didn't keep it to yourself, your parents would say, "Be a man and deal with it."
Yeah,
because that's all they knew how to do.
And get me
as
another
well.
beer.
I'm being go make me a Manhattan.
Yes.
That's what I was doing.
Yes, darling, go make me another.
No,
Manhattan,
it wasn't
would
John. It
you?
was just, could you make me a Manhattan? And then you take little sips of it when you're bringing it back.
Of course.
Dad
When
on
you're
the couch
5,
watching. I was about 8.
Sneak at a drag of their cigarette.
So, I mean, I have a whole list. Getting back to movies,
Oh, I'm
I have
sorry.
a whole list of movies that I loved. Okay,
Get into it.
So Matt made me watch The Jerk yesterday, which I'd never seen.
One of my favorites.
I know, it's kind of stupid.
It is so stupid.
But, I mean, I guess maybe I just don't have the kind of tolerance for empowered stupidity anymore, since It's all around.
But just the one, I think I told you, the one scene that sticks with me is when he's working at the gas station and he takes the buffer and he's about to buff a car with it, and the buffer is so powerful that it throws him across the room when he makes contact with the car. And when I first watched it, I did not expect that, and it just killed me.
See,
it still kills me.
I can see there's a lot of material in there that you could take from the movie, because you know when you see something over and over with your friends, your siblings, and then you quote it for the rest of your lives.
Like all of Austin Powers.
Yeah, I can't say that. I mean, mine is more like weird science, you know, classics like that.
Yeah.
But how many times do you have to watch a movie before that stuff starts to become part of your lexicon?
I don't know. I think like with Austin Powers, the first time I watched it, I thought it was the dumbest thing, and then I started quoting it.
Yep.
Like and remembering how funny the scenes were and giggling to myself. I'm like, wait a minute, I need to go back and watch this again.
Yep. Yep.
And then I would draw more and more people, and you know, if I was hanging out with friends and I get a couple of beers in, I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
You know, with the yeah baby and
yeah. Beers.
Yeah.
That
beers.
This is morning radio.
Exactly.
Matt. Okay.
Oh, wait,
what?
Sodas? Should I say
sodas, yes.
Pops?
Soda pops.
As my father would say. Let's go in and get a pop, son.
Rock and Roll High School.
Rock. Yeah.
Remember? I saw Rock and Roll High School. Bob, do you remember Rock and Roll High School?
No, I
The
don't.
Ramones?
It was the Ramones movie, and I saw it at a
They were in it,
sleepover
right?
at Kate's house. Kate is our mutual friend. Matt went to her prom with her, and she was my best friend from like third grade on. And I used to, since I grew up on a farm, it was all fixing fence and shoveling manure and
I remember
feeding
hearing
the
horror
animals.
stories
Oh, it was-
about you getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to feed cows.
It was terrible. But so I would go to my friend Kate's house, and we'd go to skate place.
Oh, yes.
Down the road.
Right down the hill.
Yep. And
Roller
we'd go to
skating. It's
Classic
where you
Video,
put skates on your
Classic
feet
Video
and go in a circle.
Get out lots of videos for the weekend and order pizza, and it was just like being normal little
Very
kids.
subversive.
But we would get these movies like Rock and Roll High School, which is actually a really clean movie. It's such a sweet movie. It's Riff Randall, rock and roller. It's got the Ramones in it. It's got Clint Howard.
Oh, God, yeah.
Ron Howard's
Ron
little
Howard's
brother,
little brother
who was
that's in-
bald at
it
like
has
age
a cameo
13.
in every movie.
Yes. And I actually got to interview the director of Rock and Roll High School last year. His name's
Awesome.
Alan Arkish, and he was the coolest guy. He is the coolest guy, and just had its 40th anniversary, Rock and Roll High School.
Did they have a
So,
screening somewhere or something? or-
they had a screening at the cemetery in L.A. where Johnny Ramone is buried. They had an outdoor screening of Rock and Roll High School. I think this was for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
At this Hollywood Forever, I think it was called, is the cemetery where he is. And it was a huge turnout, and everybody dressed as Riff Randall and Kate Rambeau, and it's just a very positive female role model movie with the Ramones.
Were those movies at the time considered indie movies, or were they
They
studio
were
films?
They were midnight. Rock and Roll High School was a midnight movie. It was like made on the cheap for nothing.
Yeah.
Made on the cheap for nothing. Get that? And in like a week or something.
Yeah.
And they were kind of. I think that was Roger Corman. It was a Roger Corman produced movie. So
Wasn't
it was,
that like the Toxic Avenger type
yeah,
stuff?
it was. Yeah, that was Trauma. Trauma, which
is locally here, I think. Or
well, it was in, it was
New Jersey. Anyway.
It's not in Greenwich. Trauma, I think, was in the city. I don't know if Trauma's around anymore. But
No.
Roger Corman was American. I can't remember. I wrote about it in my thesis, but that was a long time ago. His company, and it did all the B movies, the teen exploitation movies, and Rock and Roll High School was part of that. And it was made to just. I don't even know why it was made, just for fun, throwaway thing, midnight movie slot. And then it became this cult classic, and then, and then it went on to video. And apparently those tapes, he told me, those tapes of the VHS of Rock and Roll High School were stolen from so many of the video stores around the country, which warms my heart.
So, growing up, where did you find stuff? Because now if you see something you like, you know, Google 2 seconds and you're there.
We're running out of time.
I don't
That's
believe
so
it.
sad.
And you thought this was going to be
My older
fun.
brother, Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
Mad Magazine. Okay, so I lived on a farm, but I didn't live in a vacuum. I had Mad Magazine.
What, me worry?
Yeah, yep. And then when I met my husband, he saved all his Mad Magazines from the 70s.
Wow.
And I knew that he was the one. And we still have them. He didn't even fold
What's
the
in
back.
this box?
He didn't fold the back cover. That's how anal he is. Even then, he didn't fold it. Ours was
What, to
falling
make
apart.
that little picture in the back?
Yes,
That-
he had
that-
folded, and then
Oh, yeah.
the little record, I think it was called Making Out
Mm-hmm.
in one of their summer issues, he never took it out. He didn't
Really?
play it. Yes, he was so anal. He was saving it even back then. So there was Mad Magazine and Fangoria.
Yeah, I remember reading those.
Fangoria magazine.
Fangoria also had a like a sci-fi crossover kind of thing.
Yes.
And there was Starlog magazine. Didn't
Yep.
you used to do articles for Fangoria?
Yes, I did, Matt. As a matter of fact,
Interesting.
I wrote for Fangoria for 8 years. I was their Sundance person.
Oh,
and I
fancy.
got to go to all the midnight horror movies, and it was a blast.
So we're down to the last minute.
Oh.
And I should admit that my assistant, of course, Pam, who wanted to enjoy this as much as you guys did, so she was helping out a little bit.
Thanks, Pam.
I didn't know there was a Pam. I didn't know you had an assistant. This is all new to me. Are you making this up?
It's assistant in quotes.
Yeah, I was trying to do the air quotes that, but at any rate. So, this was fun.
It was
Oh,
fun.
well, thank you. I
we
mean,
should do another hour, another half
I
hour.
know.
We haven't even gotten into music yet.
I know,
we
I know.
haven't.
Do you know how hard it was to find music back then?
Yep.
Wow.
WCMF.
Yep.
Thank you. Well, sort of.
At your Carvel ice cream store. I thought Carvel was local to us.
Okay, say
until I
goodbye.
moved. Oh,
Oh,
okay, we're going
okay,
now. We gotta go.
bye.
Bye. Have fun sitting in
Bye.
traffic. That one's so bad.
That was fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't swear.
Nope.
Oh, we did we swear?
I don't know.
No.
Not that I noticed.
No. I didn't even say butt or anything. No, I did say butt.
You said anal. My husband's anal about that.
Oh, but that's not.
Yeah.
That's different.
It's all about context.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Hey, is that you?
No, it's some national sport.
I hope people picked up on the Ren and Snippy reference.
I didn't because I didn't
No,
watch
Ren and Stimpy, no.
Oh, okay. Bob with the finger on the button, the red shiny candy-like button.
Yeah.
Oh,
didn't,
okay.
So was Pam listening?
Yeah,
Are you
of
gonna
course.
Are you
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
get-
she was?
Oh wait, no, not Pam. Wait, who's normally? Oh, it is Pam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Pamela
yeah.
Kuhn.
Oh,
That's why I did the
Pam.
voice at the beginning.
Oh.
She was asking, should she call in? I was thinking to myself, no.
Pam.
Don't.
My
Don't make
husband. My husband did a
Yeah.
show with her.
Alan Walker?
The anal one who saved all his Mad magazines.
She says it was a crazy fun show, and it was.
Oh,
Crazy
good.
fun is good.
Good. Yeah. So Alan did this last year or something, and he
Yeah.
said it was really fun.
Was it? I
talked
had
about
no
his
idea.
music.
I've been doing this since 2018. It just feels like a couple of months.
Oh my goodness.
Because we
Time
do like
flies.
what, like one a month, one every couple of months or
Yeah,
something?
something like that.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I have fun with it. I like it.
Thank you for asking me. I was so nervous. So I did this for Fangoria about 10 years ago, and we were going to be on this cable show, like the top 100 horror movies, and all the writers got together. It was like writers and directors, and we had to talk about the horror movies that we loved growing up. And Christine and I, we took off work, because Christine was a writer for Fangoria too. We took off work, we watched all the movies, we got together, we powwowed, we wrote all this stuff. We got dressed up, we went downtown, we were taped, we had the whole thing. And I was so nervous, and it took a week of my life. And they cut us. So I knew we weren't going to be cut today, but it was like,
Good,
just
good.
don't
Were you
overthink it.
nervous at all? I thought.
Today?
Yeah.
Once it got started, no.
Good.
No. At first
Right.
it was like, because I have this fear of just going completely blank.
Mm-hmm.
Which didn't happen.
I share the same fear, but
But I'm glad
I
it
think
took
everybody
notes.
does radio at some point has that, even later on,
yeah.
because you know there are occasions when there's no good reason, you do all of a sudden clam up.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the heck's that?
I've had a couple of times in our shows where I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about now. And Pamela will go, hey, you know.
Oh, that's when you have another talker, jump in.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why all the morning drive shows are like 3 or 4 people. you know, because everyone's, at least somebody has something to say, you know,
Yes.
because 90% of that stuff is just bleh.